Welcome to my no bullshit Arms Warrior guide for Midnight Season 1. Arms Warriors are rather slow and calculated damage dealers that use powerful bleeds and heavy hitting attacks to dish out tons of damage, especially in AoE and execute phases. I will cover everything you need to turn you into a true warrior. Talent builds, DPS rotations, the best gear to craft and general tips for fun gameplay. Now let's dive straight in. First, let's take a look at our general playstyle, which is pretty simple. You generate rage with your auto attacks and then dump it into hard hitting abilities like Mortal Strike and Execute. Your big damage windows come from Colossus Smash, which makes your target take increased damage. Line up your cooldowns and strong hits inside that window and you will hit like a truck. Now let's talk talents. Arms Warriors can choose between Slayer and Colossus as their hero talent trees. Slayer is the go-to for raid content, while Colossus is better for Mythic Plus or big AoE fights. We have tons of options with our talents, but to keep things simple, here are 3 talent trees. One for pure single target and one for 2 target raid encounters using the Slayer tree. And for Mythic Plus or heavy AoE fights, I have this Colossus build for you. Feel free to swap some utility talents around depending on the content you do. You can find the import strings for all builds in the description of this video. Now let's take a look at our priority list using the Slayer talent tree. First, the pure single target rotation. Use Avatar and Colossus Smash on cooldown, ideally together. Bladestorm during Colossus Smash. Mortal Strike. Execute when it procs. Heroic Strike. Overpower. Rend to apply the bleed. And Slam as a filler. During the execute phase, things change a bit. You still use Avatar, Colossus Smash and Bladestorm on cooldown, but the priority looks like this. Use Heroic Strike when it procs, Mortal Strike with 2 stacks of Executioner's Precision, Overpower if you're under 90 rage, otherwise just spam Execute. Your single target opener looks like this. You charge in and pop Avatar and Colossus Smash. Bladestorm, throw Stormbolt for some extra damage, Mortal Strike, Overpower, Mortal Strike, into your normal single target rotation. If Execute procs between your Mortal Strikes, use that instead. Arms Warriors are special because they excel at 2 target fights thanks to sweeping strikes. With a Slayer multi-target build, we deal all of our single target damage to another target within 8 yards. So with only 2 targets alive, just use your single target rotation with sweeping strikes. One important note though. The talent Broad Strokes gives you sweeping strikes after using Colossus Smash. They don't stack, so don't use sweeping strikes while it's still active from Broad Strokes. This way you will have 100% uptime. If you found that useful so far, make sure to subscribe to my channel for future guides and updates. For fights with 3 or more targets and Mythic Plus, I highly suggest that you use Colossus instead of Slayer. Instead of Bladestorm, we have Ravager and a new ability called Demolish. The tooltip is a bit confusing though. Demolish hits 3 times. The first 2 hits are single target and can be swept with sweeping strikes. Only the 3rd hit is an actual AoE in a frontal cone, so make sure to position yourself correctly. The single target priority list for Colossus looks like this. Use Rend to apply the bleed. Ravager just before Colossus Smash. Avatar, ideally with Colossus Smash. Heroic Strike. Demolish during Colossus Smash. Mortal Strike. Cleave during Ravager. Execute when it procs. Overpower. Cleave, and Slam as a filler. Your Colossus single target opener looks like this. You charge in and Rend. Throw your Ravager and pop Avatar and Colossus Smash. Demolish, Mortal Strike, Overpower into your normal rotation. If there are only 2 targets alive, use sweeping strikes and continue your normal single target rotation just like with the Slayer tree from before. The same applies to the execute phase. The AoE priority list for Colossus looks like this. Use Rend to apply the debuff. Use Ravager just before Colossus Smash. Avatar, ideally paired with Colossus Smash. Sweeping strikes when you have no charges active. Demolish during Colossus Smash and with 5 or more Colossus Might stacks. Cleave, Mortal Strike, Rend to refresh the bleed. Overpower, Execute when it procs, and Slam as a filler. The multi-target opener for maximum burst looks like this. You charge in and Rend. Throw your Ravager. Pop Avatar into Colossus Smash and use Cleave 4 times in a row. Mortal Strike, Demolish into your normal multi-target rotation. The talent Crushing combo lets you use Cleave 4 times in a row after you use Colossus Smash. How should you use your cooldowns? Basically, zug zug, send them when they're up. One of the biggest mistakes you can do as a DPS player is to hold your cooldowns for too long. You want to get the most uses out of every encounter or dungeon. If in doubt, send your cooldowns. Only save them if you know another big pull or important adds are coming up within the next 5 to 10 seconds. Just try and use Avatar, Colossus Smash and Bladestorm or Demolish together as often as possible. Alright, we know how to do damage now, but how do we keep ourselves alive? If you're in danger, use Defensive Stance, Die by the Sword and Spell Reflection to reduce incoming damage. If you need healing, use Impending Victory to heal yourself. Just make sure to use your defensives preemptively to mitigate incoming damage instead of using them when you're already at 5% HP. Better safe than sorry. Another important survivability tool is the ability called Pummel, or also known as Kick. Use it to interrupt spells to completely negate the damage of the cast. While zugzugging is fun, being dead isn't, so make sure to interrupt as often as possible. Now for the stat prio. Most of the time, a higher item level with more strength will be better than your lower item level gear. Otherwise, you want to prioritize haste, critical strike, they're around the same, mastery and versatility. But as always, please make sure to sim your character to know what the best item is for you. Now, let's talk about your best crafted gear and consumables. The first and most important piece to craft is a two-handed weapon with the embellishment Dark Moon Sigil Hunt. It doesn't matter which one of the different two-handed weapons you choose because they just look different but have the same stats. If you already have or loot a mythic track weapon above item level 285, proceed to craft braces and a cloak with the embellishment Arcana Weave lining. If you already have a high item level piece in these slots, feel free to craft another piece. There is no set rule, just keep improving your weakest slots over time. Good gear should be treated well, so make sure to enchant and gem it. For your meta gem, use the indecipherable Eversong Diamond. And for the rest of your gem slots, use flawless quick garnets. The best enchants are these here. A good warrior is always prepared, so make sure to use these consumables here. Especially the Silver Moon Health Potion is extremely useful. It's basically an extra defensive cooldown that you get. Usually they are dirt cheap on the auction house and you don't even have to buy the rank 2 ones. The best food is either Blooming Feast or the Champion's Bento. Just use whatever is cheaper. Before we wrap up, here are the biggest mistakes I see arms warriors make. Number 1. Holding your cooldowns for too long. While you want to align your cooldowns as often as possible, they will desync over time. If you hold them for too long, you will lose more damage by missing out usages during the encounters than you will gain by aligning them. Number 2. Wasting Colossus Smash windows. Your hardest hitting abilities need to land inside that window. Filling it with slams is throwing damage away. Number 3. Having empty global cooldowns. Besides being rage-starved and having to wait, there shouldn't be a global cooldown without you pressing a button. Number 4. Poor uptime on the target. If you're not hitting the boss, you're not generating rage. So plan your movement before mechanics happen and use charge and heroic leap to stick to the target. Number 5. Not using your interrupts. I know you're a warrior and you like to zugzug, but interrupting is important to stay alive. Use Pummel, Shockwave and Stormbolt to keep the enemies in check. Got questions? Drop a comment or ask me live on twitch.tv/NinoMMO. For more written information, check out the Skyhold and Warbreaker discords and the Wowhead link in the description. Thanks for watching, bye bye.